You see a condo near Disney and it's listed for about $155,000. It rents short term, is fully furnished, and on the surface it looks like one of the easiest real estate investments you're ever going to find. So when I first saw this deal, I thought there had to be a catch. After digging into the numbers, I found one. And today we're going to be looking at this Orlando vacation rental to see whether it's actually a cash flowing investment or just another property that is fooling investors with attractive headline numbers. The listing makes the place look incredible. There's 3 bedrooms, it's minutes from Disney, it's vacation rental friendly, and there's a price tag on it that's lower than many single family homes. But here's what most investors never do. They stop at the gross revenue. They see a property generating potentially up to $28,000 a year and assume it's a great deal. But what they don't do is look at the expenses hiding underneath. The HOA fees, the taxes, the insurance, the maintenance reserve. And when you start subtracting these costs, the story changes very fast. But before we dive into the numbers, let me know in the comments, based on what you've heard so far, would you buy this condo at $155K? I'm curious to see how many of you would think this is a great deal versus a deal that you'd walk away from. And if you enjoy real-world real estate deals analysis like this, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe because we break down actual properties and run the numbers so you can make smarter investment decisions. By the end of this video, we're going to answer 3 questions. Number 1, how much money does this condo realistically generate? How much of that money do you actually keep? And most importantly, would I buy this property with my own money? So let's look at the numbers. So let me pull up the listing here. This is the property here at Lake Buena Vista Resorts in Orlando, Florida. I was actually just here last week. We were down in Florida for a wedding. I stayed here. It is a very nice resort style condo. There's several pools on the property, lots of nice amenities. I'm going to scroll down here so we can take a look at those real quick. Like I said, several pools. If you're bringing kids, there's this big pool with a pirate ship and a water slide. That looked pretty cool. There's a game room with arcade games. There's a Pizza Hut on site if you want to order pizza and do like a pizza movie night. There's a fitness center. I used this a couple of times while we were there, which was very convenient. There's a spa in one of the condo buildings, so if you want to book like a back massage or something like that, you know, lots of nice little amenities. And then there's this Irish pub that's on site too. Everything's really close by, very convenient. It was a very nice place to stay. That got me thinking, would something like this, a condo in this development, be a good investment? Here's the thing. We're going to talk about some numbers. The gross revenue that I came up with is $28,000. And I'm going to put a disclaimer there. I had a hard time coming up with good numbers for this property because I actually reached out to several real estate agents that were listing condos in this development to get rent rolls for the properties. And the issue I was having was a lot of property owners that are selling now were utilizing the condos for a lot of personal use. So I was unable to find a good property, a property that was rented out most of the year to use that as a metric for what these condos are capable of generating. The number I came up with is a rough estimate based on what AirDNA estimates that these condos are going to do. But you got to keep in mind, Orlando is a very saturated market. This is probably an extremely optimistic number. We're going to go with it though, because if the issue is if we were able to find a condo, this one had been rented out as much as possible. The owner was staying there maybe 1 or 2 weeks. I think that'd be a better metric, but of the 5 or 6 listings that I reached out to, the owners were staying there like a month or 2, consuming a lot of time that could have been rented out. The rent rolls were very weak, and to some extent, I wasn't sure how much of that had to do with personal use versus these condos just don't rent very well. So we're going to go with $2,800. Now, out of that, there are a lot of expenses that need to be tallied up. There's the homeowners association, there's taxes, there's insurance, and all those numbers we're going to go over here shortly. Before I forget, let's take a look at the inside. Again, the condo was very nice. The one that I stayed at, they furnished very well. The color schemes for the couch I didn't really care for, but they were comfortable. It was cozy enough, very clean. Beds were all very comfortable. Bathrooms very nice. Everything here was kept up pretty well. Very, very nice and clean. I would certainly come back here if I was going to be in Orlando. I mean, obviously this is beat up a little bit, but Some of those details I can overlook a little bit personally. All in all, a nice property. That's the good news. The place was very wonderful to stay at and relatively affordable to stay at. Here's the bad news. The Homeowners Association for the year was $9,666. Taxes estimated to be about $2,750. Insurance estimated to be $1,200. We're going to go over some estimates for some other numbers. Now, obviously, it's being rented out as an Airbnb. The person staying there is going to be charged a cleaning fee. So you may wonder why are you including cleaning overages in this? If there are cleaning fees above and beyond what was necessary to clean up after the guests were staying there, we're going to include that in just to cover all the bases. We got that at $750. Maintenance, reserves, and cap expenses for each of those line items, we got that down for $1,400, so a total of $2,800 for both maintenance and cap expenses. While we were there was some issue with the bathtub faucet. The bathtub faucet ended up having to be replaced after we had left. So obviously, maintenance issue, plumbing's going to fail. You got to plan for that. And then utilities, miscellaneous fees, we've got all that adding up to $18,660. Obviously, the big component is going to be the HOA. The HOA is going to cover a lot of expenses. If I can pull that up here real quick, the nice thing about a condo is the HOA is going to cover some of these expenses. Bad news is it's pretty steep, but let's just take a peek here. So the HOA fee is going to include cable TV, internet, pest control, the recreational facilities, obviously like the pools, trash, water. There's still going to be some utilities there because obviously electricity is not included in that, so that's why we have utilities included in the estimations here. We got that at $1,200, and then a $300 line item for miscellaneous expenses, whether that be accounting or whatever. So again, total $18,660. So we subtract that from the $28,000 that we're estimating this property is going to produce in a year. That leaves us with a net operating income of $9,340, which sounds good on paper. Okay. Now the problem is, if it's paid off, if you pay cash for it, that may not be so bad. Okay. Now, again, we got to go back to, this is a very optimistic number. So if you don't hit this number, if you end up at 20,000 instead of 2,800, now your net operating income's like a little over $1,000, which isn't really anything to be excited about. Now, to hit this number, if you have to use a property manager to hit this number, they're going to charge, I'm estimating, around 25%. Some property management companies in the area charge more. We're going to go with 25% for the sake of these calculations. 25% property management fee is going to be $7,000. If we take that out of the net operating income, now the net operating income, best case scenario, is $2,340, which isn't really that great. Let's take a look at some other figures. If you self-manage the property and you happen to have a slam dunk year, you get these numbers, but you have a mortgage. Now we got some issues. The net cash flow is going to be in the negative, to the tune of negative $14,048 on an annual basis. The mortgage payment is $1,949 estimated a year, assuming that you end up on this number and assuming that the estimations for insurance, property taxes, and everything else stay the same. That's $23,388 a year, which is bad, okay? That if you have to mortgage this, I don't know how there's going to be a situation where this ends up cash flowing positive. It's going to be in the negative. This is with best case scenario numbers. Realistically, I would expect the gross income to be lower than that. The other situation here, if you have a mortgage and you utilize a property management company, it's looking even worse. We're looking at negative $21,000, negative $21,048. So obviously, when I look at these numbers, I'm not excited. As much as I love staying there, as much as I love going to Orlando, as much as I love Florida, Is this a good investment? I don't think so. Relative to what the $155,000 could do in my Northeast Ohio market, I don't know that I'd park money here. If the property best case scenario is going to go for $155,000, and you've got a steep HOA fee, personally, I don't think this represents a good investment. The other thing to end with that you got to keep in mind with these types of property purchases, people are going to buy these, number one, for either an investment consideration or some type of lifestyle consideration. If you're coming down here multiple times with your family, you've got $155,000 cash to put into this, it may be worth it under those situations if you want to go to the same place year after year after year. You're taking your kids to Disney World multiple times a year, or Universal Studios with the new park that they opened up, Epic Universe, with all the Super Mario Brother rides and everything. If you're going to SeaWorld, if you're going to Busch Gardens, this may make sense. It's hard to put a dollar amount from that perspective, from the lifestyle perspective. Now, obviously, I think you can get very, very carried away with that to justify a bad financial decision based on these lifestyle flexes you can get out of this. Personally, I wouldn't buy it. I'd put my money, if I had $155,000 to invest, I'd put it somewhere else. That's just me. Add comments to the comment section. Tell me what you think. Maybe you feel differently. But if I had money, that kind of money to invest, I'm sticking with Northeast Ohio, plain Jane, single family home, long-term rentals. I'm sticking with that every day of the week.